Alright, I'm going to do a video on potential causes of the coronavirus and what I think the end goal is of this whole thing, for the system at least. Thanks, Jimmy, for giving me that comment. It kind of got me going a bit, actually, thinking about it, and I thought, I will do a video, actually, and we'll kind of discuss this, or at least I will. Now, where do I want to go with this to begin with? I did a video a little while back giving my kind of opinion of what I thought this was all about, and I think in there I said, I think this really is to do with getting rid of cash. And that was my initial sort of thoughts when the whole thing started up. Now, Jimmy goes on about some other stuff in his comment, and I have to agree with him on a number of points. I think it's more than just getting rid of cash. The bad news is I do think it's more than just getting rid of cash. I think this is definitely about creating a more digital person. That legal person is going to become digitized. And let me tell you really what that's all about. In the legal system, okay, we have certain instruments, like the driving license, like the passport, like the birth certificate, all these things. Okay, they're actually physical objects. This thing here, this Federal Reserve note, is a physical thing. Now, well, if you've been watching my videos, you probably already know this, but if you're just picking up on this now and just stumbling across this video, the legal system does not have jurisdiction over anything material in this world. Okay, this is why they send you a certified copy of your birth certificate. If they give you the birth certificate that they created outright, they've got no jurisdiction over it anymore. The physical object that contains that idea is now in your jurisdiction. The same way as this thing. I get fed up of hearing people say, oh, don't use Federal Reserve notes. When you use this, you're operating in their system. This is, you're in their jurisdiction when you're using this thing. No. This thing's in my jurisdiction right now. They don't have, well, number one, they don't have a lawful right to come and take this. They don't even have a legal right to come and take this, because the legal system only deals with the fictional aspect of reality. This thing here is a physical object. They have no legal authority over it. They might have a legal authority over the idea that's on here, but the actual object itself, they don't have a physical, they do not have physical jurisdiction over it. Right. So, in order to control this thing in a more perfected way, what you have to do is you have to have this thing, people will have to be able to see it in some guise, but they can't hold on to it. They can't put it underneath their mattress. So this is where digital comes in. Because if it's off up in the cloud somewhere, it's not in your physical possession anymore. So if they want to change the value, I say change the value of it, but if they, let's for instance say, let's talk about taxes just for 1 second. If all your dollars are in a tax account and they suddenly want to change taxes, guess what? If it's all digitized, it's easy. It's just a simple press of the button. There is no sending out paperwork. There is no need to do any of that stuff. It's a simple, that's not a very good example, but it's a simple, just change the tax as it needs to be changed. Control the system completely. If 1 minute there's not enough, they're not earning enough tax dollars, they can just raise taxes without, because everything, it's completely out of man's jurisdiction. I don't know what a good example of that would be, really. But the dollar, if you don't have physical possession of it, is it yours? No, it's not. If somebody else has physical possession of that thing that you're using, off in the cloud somewhere, it's not yours. This is mine. This is in my physical possession. I don't know how else to get that message across. It's the same with the driving license. When they hand you that driving license, that's in your physical possession. That's your driving license now. Regardless of what the entity is on the driving license, that's your driving license. When they want to write you a ticket, they say, "Can I see your driving license?" You hand it over, they write the ticket, and they hand it all back. Because they're writing the ticket on the driving license that you've handed over to them. Now, cops don't really know that, do they? That's their protocol when they stop somebody. And if you don't show them the driving license, or they could just read the name off of it, they'll still write you a ticket because they don't know no better. But going to court, I'm sure if you've got a judge that knows what they're talking about or knows their stuff, they would say, yes, you didn't have jurisdiction, officer, blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't have written that ticket. Anyway, yeah, it's all about taking that thing and moving it into really what is true fiction. And that is something that's floating around out there that you can't physically grab a hold of. That's pure. That would be pure. Well, not pure, but very close to perfect jurisdiction over those things. You see, even now, you know, you get a check from somebody. That's a physical object that you hand to another man. Okay, so there's a chain there. I've handed something to another man. That check goes in a bank. It goes into, there's a physical building there. That physical building takes your value that you hand to them with the, I don't know, with the, I want to say, you know, when you hand value over to a man, they have to hand that value back, you know, unless it is a gift. So unless you expressly say, I'm giving this to you for you to do whatever you want with and keep forever, which is not what happens with a bank, you know, you give it to them to use on the condition that you're going to get it back again. Now, you hand that money over to a physical person into a physical building. They don't want any of that because there's a chain there that takes that value and is actually, it's physical still. Now, if they can get rid of that physicality, so you go to work and that check goes straight to the treasury, the tax is taken straight off of it, you never even see the value, and it goes straight into a computer system, something that is not another man. When another man is not involved, I don't know how to say it, but you don't really, if you just, you know, you're not even getting anything in the first place to give to somebody else with the, you know, with the express condition that it's going to come back to you. So all it does is it makes their system a little more watertight. Well, that's a slight pun there, isn't it? But that, you know, I don't know what else to say about it, really. They want to remove dealings with other men. As soon as they can get rid of the other man, and as soon as they can get rid of the physical objects that we're dealing with, the better for them. You know, they'd like to put everybody in a bloody cardboard box, shoebox size apartment, not be able to buy land, not be able to go out into the world, and really do much in the way of physical things apart from service the system. That's really where we're headed. We're kind of headed to that. What's that? Let me think of the film. The Fifth Element. Bruce Willis is living in a bloody shoebox apartment. That's what they want for everybody. I think it'll be a few years before we get to the artificial womb, the pod of the Matrix. But that is the direction it's all headed. Completely digital, completely off in the cloud. You will not have any physical possession, because they know that they can't take. If you have a rightful physical possession to something, that's your claim under God. They've got no right. They've got no right to take that without, some kind of just natural cause. Like you've physically harmed somebody else. You broke their arm, so you've got to pay for the doctor's bills. I mean, unless that happens, unless you actually break natural law, there is no, they can't. They really can't do it. And these people at the top, I believe, don't really want to break natural law. They really do believe in karma. Hell, I believe in it. They most definitely believe in it. They know if there's a creator, and if all this whole place is based off of balance, you go around and do something wrong to somebody, that comes back on you. I mean, there's no other way of looking at it. There's no getting out of it. Before you leave this realm, in one way or another, you are going to live out that karma. You're going to live it out. And they believe in it. That's why they get everybody else to do the damn dirty work. They will not do it themselves. So if you can get high enough up the chain when you're dealing with people and put them on the spot, make them responsible, it's not. You're not going to have. I don't think you will have as much of a problem. Anyway, what else was I going to say about this? Yeah, that's really it. Well, I'd say it's really it. There's a few other things I'd like to say about this. This whole cause of the coronavirus thing, because when it first started up, I said to before it even started up, really, and they were doing the news coverage in China, I said to my wife, I said, "Oh, because this smells like BS to me." Looking at all just the numbers that they were throwing out there, and the time of year that was happening, and oh my lord, I was like, this has got to be, it's just another one of these wind-ups like Ebola and all the other ones they've come out with, swine flu and blah blah blah. So I'm thinking, this is just a wind-up. Listening to the old girl, they're interviewing a Chinese old woman about, in the local area. Oh yeah, and the interpreters, she's going, and then the interpreter's given it, oh, we've had lots of cases of pneumonia this year, and I'm like, that's exactly probably what it is. Pneumonia, complications from standard flu. People have got pneumonia. I know last year two of my kids had, they were running a good temperature and they were coughing and spluttering. So, I mean, had it been this year, that probably would have got diagnosed as, chrono. And I've had a few bouts of stuff, and I'll tell you something interesting. I went and did a bit of welding the other day. I got a little side job doing some welding for an Amish guy, and I'm welding in a barn with a generator welder set. So, and it's fairly open, but there's still enough fumes in there, and I really should have moved the generator out of the way a bit more, but of course I'm dealing with leads that aren't long enough and everything else, so I've got to just put up with it. Anyway, what did I do? I did several hours. I took my son with me, but he waited in the car for most of the time, and I did several hours, and by the end of it, them fumes were getting to me, and I tell you what, I come down that night with a terrible headache. I know that's what caused it, come down with a terrible headache, and my muscles were aching something bad in my, in my neck and my shoulders, and oh. But what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to point out here is that, and of course I got a sore throat from it, and a little bit of congestion as well. And that is just the body's natural way of dealing with the toxicity. I know for a fact there's been a couple of times when I've been out and had a few drinks and not been totally paralytic, but had quite a few drinks, and the next day, I'll tell you what, it is like the flu. And it's not a hangover. I've had plenty of hangovers in my time to know the difference between the hangover and what is more similar to flu. Now, I'm not saying that a hangover couldn't be quite like the flu, but it's just interesting. And I've had that happen and had a couple of days of feeling really bad from it. And I've noticed that as I get older, that's happened. And like with this welding the other day and breathing all them fumes in. Now, I used to work as a pipe fitter, so I worked in a factory for 10 years, building pipe, breathing a lot of fumes in all the time. I mean, I'd come home and my nose would be full of shite and terrible stuff. But I noticed, towards the end, before I quit that place, towards the end of there, I was starting to get headaches and stuff. I could put up with a lot more fumes then than I can now. Like, that wouldn't have done me in. What I did the other day would not have done me in. So there is you build up what I'm trying to say is you build up a resistance to the toxicity. Now, interestingly, I don't really want to bring chemtrails into this now, but I just had the thought, I mean, the easiest way to get people, I don't know, feeling sick with a respiratory type ailment would be simply to scatter particulate over a certain area. So you want to have, let's say you want to have, I don't know, just a city, right? Wuhan. You just want to get one area sick. Well, you just go over and just go over with the chemtrail planes. And I've got another theory on chemtrails as well, but we won't go into that today. But you just go over with the chemtrail planes and, I don't know, dust the area with something, if they were going to do it, they would use something that's natural, I think, because they don't want to break that. I'm sure these people don't want to break natural law. So, but if you were to dust something natural that's already in the atmosphere, but just at a slightly higher concentration, now, if it's naturally occurring in the atmosphere normally, are you breaking natural law? By spreading it over a certain area, especially if nobody in that area, what's the word I want to say? Nobody in that area acknowledges their God-given right to the land that's underneath their feet. So if there's an area that is simply common land, which probably is pretty much the whole of the United States, if that area is deemed common land because they haven't had anybody, confront the system about, hey, I'm not paying these bloody taxes, I've got a natural claim to this land here, and you don't have no right to send me a tax bill. In fact, the tax bill you're wanting to send me should be getting sent to the guy that you've got in the filing cabinet at your office. But if you get to that point where nobody has made that claim, where they haven't been confronted with that claim, because you don't have to. I don't think you necessarily need to go out there and tell everybody, this is my claim and I'm not blah blah blah. But if they send a tax bill out to every property there is in the country and nobody disputes it or does anything like, and nobody disputes common land and all this other stuff, then anybody has their right to do whatever they bloody like over the, in the sky, over everybody's heads, over the land. That steps them one step further back from, it being in the air, would step them one step further back from actually being on the ground surface. But whatever goes up must come down eventually. But what I'm saying is, if nobody has a claim on that land under God, then under natural law they have a right to do what the hell they like. That sounds terrible, really. But I mean, I've you think about these things, and would they really be breaking natural law if nobody's claimed that land? And if I want to go and spray, like, it's like out the back of my house, if I wanted to go and spray Roundup on a field, it's nobody else's bloody business, really, is it? So, you run into that thing. If nobody claims the land, well, who's to tell them it's wrong? So maybe I should do a video putting it into the system there that they shouldn't be doing that anymore. Anyway, but what I'm saying is, if you went out and sprayed something natural, some particulate matter that induced an immune response, a cough, mucus, maybe even dare I say it, maybe even broadcast bacteria of a certain nature, like pneumonia out of a plane, would you be breaking natural law? I don't know. And people are breathing in pneumonia and other particulates. I mean, if you breathing that in, I mean, I honestly don't have a clue about pneumonia, to tell you the truth. I'm just throwing this out there now. I'm just thinking about it. But is it a possibility? Just spray pneumonia out of a bloody plane when you want to cause, and it's natural. It's around us in the environment anyway. But if the concentrations are a little bit higher and nobody's claimed that land, I mean, all ideas anyway. I'm not saying that anybody's doing that. It's just an idea, just a fictional idea, people. Just a story. But anyway, what else do I want to talk about? I want to mention, I don't think I mentioned this in, did I mention, I may have wanted to mention it in the, in the Johnny Cash, Johnny Cash, of course, the removal of cash, you just can't write the shit, can you? But, pardon my French. But, I don't know if I mentioned it in the video, but The Circle, the film, it's got Hermione off of, Harry Potter in it, and Tom Hanks, of course, Tom Hanks. Where would we be without Tom Hanks in a film? Yeah, that brings me up another one, that Philadelphia he was in, and the whole idea of AIDS being a big con job as well, just malnutrition, but we'll write it as a virus that's killing people. Interesting that he would play that role. I'm off on a tangent. The Circle. It's all about a similar, I think it's Facebook they've based it off of, or something like that. It's about a social network, and I can't remember exactly because I watched it a while back now, but they do say that they are wanting to get everybody to be able to vote through their social media, and then they basically want to digitize everything as well. Basically, we're talking about the start of the I say the start of the Matrix, but just a turning point in the Matrix. So that's a good film to go watch, because that's what's going on at the minute. And I've got an upcoming video. I'm going to do one on Katy Perry's Swish Swish and Kobe Bryant's death, and there's a direct reference to that in the, you know, I think it looks to me like a direct reference to it anyway in that video. I don't know if I think I say it in the video, but anyway, you'll spot it when it gets to it in the, you know, I'll do a lowdown on it. But that's basically where we're headed. Complete control, complete, you know, I said it in my comment back to Jimmy. I think, you know, it's going to get to the point where they won't even write a bloody birth certificate. They will have it all in, you know, it'll go straight into the doctor's, you know, into the doctor's computer, phone, tablet, whatever they have, a handprint or a thumbprint, and maybe even a DNA swab. I don't know. They may just do it off a hand. I mean, the obvious thing is just do it off a handprint. But they probably do some kind of DNA thing as well. But that's probably what's going to happen. There won't even be a birth certificate. The name will go straight into the computer, and the fingerprint will go straight in, and that will be the end of that. That will be it. Off in the cloud straight away. And everybody will do the phone thing. You know, it'll all be on your mobile phone. You know, this is, you know, the mark of the beast, isn't it? It's on the hand. It's on the head. You know, you're holding it here the whole time. I mean, it's so obvious that that's the mark of the beast. That bloody phone. You know, I can't see them. They probably get some people to take a chip and all this other nonsense that's going on now with they're going to inject everybody with this nanotechnology. Going to be able to track you and everything. I got news for you. They can already track you. They don't need no damn nanotechnology. They got enough pissing cameras everywhere. They've got enough. They've got you with your phone. They don't need to track you. You know, the way the system works is they give you something that's very convenient, and then you just take it on board. Okay, and then what they do is they make the thing that they want you to move away from a pain in the arse. Okay, they want to make life as easy for you as possible so that you move in the direction that they want. And at the same time, they make it more difficult, you know, for the people that aren't moving in the right direction. So, for example, the bailout, you know, this last round of, you know, whatever you want to call it, the stimulus money or package or whatever, where they're giving everybody money. If you're already signed up to do your taxes electronically, guess what? You got that money lickety-split straight through from the Treasury, straight through to your, it's Treasury Direct, straight through to your account, to your bank account. If you're not signed up for it, or you pay by a check, or you do anything else, guess what? You've had to wait 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They delay the payment. They make it less convenient for you. You know, what they're going to do is they're going to lock it down for a certain length of time, and you ain't, you know, the people that are on the system are going to get their money right when they're locking it down. The people that aren't in the system, guess what? You can wait until the end, until we've had the lockdown and we're coming out of the lockdown before you get your money. Have you noticed lately that the mail has been running super slow? What's interesting is the packages coming through the mail don't seem to be running that slow. But actual proper letters coming through the mail, oh my gosh, they're running slow to me anyway. Though maybe that's just in our neck of the woods or whatever, I don't know. But that's something I noticed. What are you going to do? Make the mail slow. When people have got to be sent the stuff through the mail's going to be slowed down as well. So it's just, you know, basically if you want to know what the system's going to do, just apply your own common sense, turn on the evil meter and say, well, what would I do in this situation? How would I control this situation? And you can pretty much predict it right out to the end, you know. This I put in my comment back to Jimmy. I said, well, the election's coming up here pretty soon, so no doubt we'll go into a lockdown before the election, so that there's all this chaos around how people are going to vote. How are people going to vote? You know, and they're going to be saying, "Oh, if only we had some kind of digital ID where people could go online and be able to vote." You know, this is the kind of crap that's going to come out. You know, whether or not they'll get around to actually sorting some kind of thing out before, you know, oh, maybe we should put this into, you know, maybe they'll start suggesting it, you know, in the likelihood that we're going to have you know, we should start digitizing now if you want to be able to vote, because if you can't get to the polling station, then you know, you're not going to be able to vote. Whoa. So and maybe they'll rock the apple cart by saying, well, most of these Republicans, you know, they you know, they're not as tech savvy as the Democrats. You know where I'm going with this, but you know, rock the boat. On paper, Trump would have won again, but now, you know, we're gonna, you know, this is who's coming in. But I'm not interested in any of that stuff, to tell you the truth. It's absolute poppycock nonsense. But you know, this is the kind of stories they're gonna run. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I've probably done this video to death now. Anyway, you know, I'll put this other video up on the Katy Perry thing and Kobe Bryant here in a few days' time. Hopefully there'll be something good in there. And that's about it, really. I've probably missed something important out of that little chat there, but I think they already had something written up for one last note. They already had something written up about a treasury dollar, which would essentially be the same. I don't quite know how it's going to work, but it will be essentially it will look just like a federal bill, except it'll say treasury dollar on it. And what that'll mean is the way I look at it is they're going to match it to begin with. They'll match a federal dollar to a treasury dollar, and they'll match. What they'll do is they'll match the digital federal. I'm getting all confused now. They'll match the digital treasury dollar to a digital treasury note. So there'll be a physical note that goes along with it, and the physical note will look pretty similar to this thing, is what I'm guessing, so that you can still use it in a vending machine and people will still accept it, and it will just look like money, except instead of saying Federal Reserve on it, it will say Treasury. Now, what will eventually end up happening is, to move people off of this that are stubborn, there will be a, instead of the, well, how am I going to put this? Instead of a Federal Reserve note being worth exactly 1-to-1 with the bloody hell, Dan, with the Treasury note. So instead of it being 1-to-1 with the Treasury note, what'll end up happening is this thing will start losing value. The federal note will start losing value, and what will gain value will be the digital version of the Treasury note. Bloody hell, I'm going to have to late at night as well. I'm having to think here, jeez. But you see what's going to happen. They'll bring in another note that they can digitize as well, have a digital counterpart to it, and then, was what I'm guessing, but anyway, what will end up happening is they'll phase this thing out by making it worth less, you know, compared with the digital side of things. So, you know, it'll entice people to just use digital, you know, and there'll be some kind of, you know, if you want to take real notes out of the Treasury, if you want to order some real notes, it's going to cost you more money than using a digital note. If that makes sense, I've probably screwed all that up, but if that makes sense, you know, this will be phased out, will be devalued against a Treasury version of this. The Treasury will have a digital version of their dollar as well. And that digital dollar will essentially, you'll get better value for using that. And then there'll be some kind of, this will be phased out basically just by people not wanting to use it. There will come a point when they'll say, well, there's not enough people using this, so everybody will take the money out of the mattress and they'll go and trade in, and there'll probably be, there may even be a penalty for trading in to get the, you know, by that point they may have a penalty for trading in to go to the treasury physical note. So they might try and, you know, get people onto that digital money that way. I don't know. Anyway, it's just ideas, isn't it? Oh, sorry, that's just extended the video another 5 minutes. Anyway, hope you enjoy, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, bye.